The Land Before Time, the illustrated story. Chapter 8. Danger Everywhere. Sarah led the group up the easy path out of the crater. Now the going was anything but easy. All about them, burning mountains were spewing fire and smoke. Red fog swirled around them, reflecting the sides of the mountains. Everywhere they looked were black caves and dark ravines, and they imagined all sorts of creatures lurking within them. Now, too, they could see what had happened to the other animals that had come this way. Skeletons and bodies of dead animals loomed out of the mist and seemed to be warning them to go back. "I wish Littlefoot were with us now," whispered Ducky. Spike nodded in agreement as he stopped to nibble at a scrawny bush. "Spike, do not stop!" cried Ducky. "Nope, nope. We must stay together. We do not want to be alone, do we?" Even as she said that, she noticed they were alone. Sarah and Petrie had disappeared into the misty fog. Meanwhile, Littlefoot had just climbed out of the crater and faced a lonely plain. He looked around forlornly, hardly able to move. Just then, something in the sky caught his attention. It was a large cloud that took on a familiar shape. "Mother?" he whispered with a lump in his throat. He felt a gentle wind caress his face. It seemed to be whispering to him, "Littlefoot." It was his mother's voice. "I tried to do what you told me, Mother, but it's just too hard. I can't hear my heart. I'll never find the Great Valley." The cloud vision began to drift away. "Mother, don't go!" he cried. He chased after the cloud across the wide plain as the wind whispered around him. The sound seemed to be rising and falling like a melody. And then suddenly he heard singing. He wondered if he was imagining it, but no, there it was again, a high, sweet song carried along by the breeze. Below the cloud, he saw an opening into a beautiful green valley. The Great Valley! His heart swelling with joy, Littlefoot started to race down into the wonderful valley. But then he heard his mother's voice again in the wind. "Littlefoot." He skidded to a stop. In his heart, he knew what his mother was going to tell him. The others, they went the wrong way. They'll never find the Great Valley. He looked up at the cloud. The image of his mother was fading. "Mother, what should I do?" he asked. But he answered himself. My heart says, they're my friends. I have to help them." With that, he turned and raced out of the valley.
"Sarah knows right way to go. Real sure?"
Petrie asked as he rode along on her head. "Of course I do," answered Sarah impatiently.
"I scared,"
Petrie whistled. "Well, I'm not scared," said Sarah stubbornly.
"I wonder if Littlefoot lonesome,"
Petrie said. "I don't care if that long neck is lonesome," she said. Petrie was about to answer her when a low-hanging branch knocked him right off Sarah's head. He didn't even have time to whistle before he found himself in a sticky tar pit. He yelled for Sarah, but she had gone on, not realizing he wasn't with her anymore. He looked behind him for Ducky and Spike, but they weren't there either. The more he struggled to get free, the deeper he sank. In the meantime, Littlefoot was rushing through the dark, scary landscape. He could see only by the light of the fire rivers and the flames from the burning mountains. He craned his neck this way and that and frantically called out. All of a sudden, he stopped in his tracks at the edge of a sharp cliff. A smoking mountain spewing a fire river towered above him. And below were Ducky and Spike, trapped on a rock in a red, glowing fire river. He raced down across the hot rocks toward them. The bit of rock on which they stood was quickly falling apart. With his strong neck, he pushed a large rock into the fiery liquid next to Ducky and Spike's rock. It formed a bridge between them and solid ground. Ducky and Spike jumped across to safety just as their rock disappeared into the bubbling red river with a loud hiss. From somewhere up ahead, they heard a faint cry. It was Petrie. When they reached him, only his beak and frightened eyes showed above the tar. The group quickly decided on a plan of action. Littlefoot wrapped his strong tail around a huge dead tree near the tar pit. He clamped his mouth down around Spike's tail, and Spike waded out to try and reach Petrie. But the little flyer was just out of reach. So Ducky ran along Littlefoot's back and then onto Spike's head. She could just reach Petrie. With one good pull, she yanked him up and onto Spike's head. As three of them cheered, the dead tree snapped in two. Now they were all sinking into the gooey mess. Struggling to get free, they suddenly heard Sarah scream from somewhere nearby. "You get away! Stay away!" she cried. "Sarah needs help," Littlefoot yelled.
We all need help,
whistled Petrie as they sank into the tar pit. Sarah had found herself trapped in a dark cave surrounded by 4 lizard heads. They circled her and hissed viciously. One of them lunged at her, but she bravely reared back and spit in its face. "Get away, you mean lizard heads!" she cried as she scrambled up some rocks, but the lizard heads wouldn't give up. Sarah hopped around, hoping to make a break for the mouth of the cave, but the lizard heads were closing in on her fast. It looked like the end. A tremendous echoing roar came from the mouth of the cave. As the lizard heads looked back in surprise, a huge, ugly black beast towered over them. The beast roared again and lifted Sarah by the tail, holding her upside down. The lizard heads didn't wait to see what would happen next, but now Sarah had a new monster to face. She hung terrified. Oh, if only her friends were here. It was in that moment of danger that she realized that they were her friends. "Help me!" she screamed. "Spike! Ducky! Petrie!" Then the big monster spoke. "Sarah, it's us," it said. Sarah twirled around upside down and saw the monster close up. It was really Littlefoot, Petrie, Ducky, and Spike, all stuck together with tar. At first, she was relieved, but then she was mad. She had shown that she needed and wanted them, and she didn't want to do that. Her pride was still controlling her heart. "I knew it was you all along," she said. Littlefoot grinned at her. "You did?" said Ducky, "but you were screaming so loud." "I was only acting," Sarah shot back. "I wanted those scaly skins to come into the cave so I could attack them." "Nope, nope, nope," Ducky said, shaking her head. "Oh, get out of my way," Sarah yelled, but as she tried to stalk out of the mouth of the cave, she stuck to the tar monster. "We're really together now," said Ducky, giggling. Yes, Sarah. Now we have to stick together. And the whole group laughed. Man, Sarah really got herself into a sticky situation. I guess she's stuck with them now. I can't stop. But I have to. We must continue with the story. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. That made Sarah madder than ever. Pulling herself free, she cried out, "Oh, shut up! I hate all of you! I don't ever want to see any of you again! Ever!" With that, she stomped out of the cave into the darkness. As she marched away, her eyes filled with tears. She really didn't mean what she had said. It was just that her pride had been hurt. She looked around, half expecting them to come after her. But they didn't. And her heart sank a little. A heavy rain started to fall, washing the tar off Littlefoot and the others. "Let her go," he said. "If she doesn't want to come back, there's nothing we can do." The others sadly had to agree. The next morning, Littlefoot, Ducky, Spike, and Petrie headed down the path toward the Great Valley. "We're almost there," said Littlefoot. "Just a little farther."
Oh, too bad Sarah not with us,
said Petrie. As the group rounded a pool near the cliffs by the entrance to the valley, Petrie leapt off Littlefoot's head and climbed to a high rocky ledge. Suddenly, he began to quiver with fear. "Petrie, what is it?" Littlefoot asked as he reached the ledge. Then he looked beyond it. There, on the plain that overlooked the Great Valley, was Sharptooth. He was searching for the entrance to the valley. Oh dear. Stay tuned for the final chapter. See you later. Bye.